Hi, my name is Jim Gibson. Thank you for joining me today on my channel. Very much appreciated. And today we're talking about action bias. And bias means you have an inclination to do something. So you should have an inclination towards action. Now, primarily I'm talking to people who are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. And I'm also thinking about other entrepreneurs who are thinking about moving their business, moving it up to be a better business, to be, more profitable, to change things out. But you know something, even if you're not an entrepreneur and you're not thinking about starting a business, this could help you also, because it will help you make decisions in life. And you got to hold that thought in your mind: action or bias action, or action bias. Let's see, background: Marine Corps captain, an MBA, business owner for 28 years of an IT company that was national, all over the United States, all 50 states, and always in the black. And so I learned a lot of lessons when it comes to business, and I think these are things that can help you also. So today's topic being action bias, leaning towards action. That's what bias means. It means that you want to do something, or you have a certain thought in a certain area, you lean towards it. So you want to have an action bias. Now, I learned that from the Marine Corps. When I was in the Marine Corps, they used to talk about that all the time. You should always, as a Marine Corps officer, you should always want to take action. And we're going to talk about that, some of the ways they told you to do it, some of the things that can help you today. But I always think about a friend of mine. I think he's a great friend, and we used to talk about real estate all the time, and I really enjoyed talking to him because he was one knowledgeable dude, probably the most knowledgeable dude I knew or known for real estate, and I like real estate. That's my other company, is real estate investing, but we're not talking about real estate today. But the thing that I learned from him was that even though he knew all the details about all the neighborhoods in Southern California, the tax rates, mortgage rates, HOAs, the best neighborhoods, the best buildings to buy, and everything else, we talked for months. He never made a decision to do anything. He had the cash. And he kept on saying, well, I'm going to do some more research on that. Well, one day I told him, I'm done my research. I put a down payment on a warehouse. And he was like, whoa, it's the wrong time to be buying a warehouse. And but that warehouse I bought 20 years ago has been profitable every single month that I've owned it. I've made money on it. And I look in my bank account the first of each, or actually it's probably the second day of each month, and I could see the deposits I've gotten from some of my real estate. My tenants put money right into my bank, so I can be anywhere in the world, and I can see that money. Passive, completely passive income. So that's why I like real estate. I also like IT, but that's not what we're going to talk about. My friend never made a decision. And back then, we were looking at some nice houses, $300,000 houses, let's say, which was a lot of money back then. He had the cash, could have went right out and bought a house just like that. He did not. Now, those houses that we looked at in Laguna Beach, in Dana Point, California, things like that, you know something? Today, they're probably worth $800,000 to $1 million. And he would have been absolutely fine. But he was so scared to make the wrong decision, and he was going to lose, 5% of his money that had to be made precisely at the exact time, that he missed an opportunity, never bought anything. I don't know if he still has his $300,000. Maybe he's put it in the bank, getting 2% interest for the last 20 years. I have no idea. He's a good guy, don't get me wrong. But the problem is he had paralysis of analysis. He was always studying real estate, in particular Southern California real estate, for the purpose of renting, to rent out to people. And he was always doing that. And it was like, he was a great resource, but he never did anything. And I know a lot of people are thinking about starting a business, or they're thinking about growing a business. Got to change some things, but they think about it, and they think about it, and they think about it, and they never make a decision. One of the things I learned in the Marine Corps as a Marine Corps officer, and they send you these leadership classes. They're like a year worth of school. Your first year as a Marine Corps officer is about a year, 9 months, maybe 10 months, something like that. But the things they always emphasize is you should always have an action bias. You should always lean towards making a decision. You should always want to make a decision now. And they would talk about that. If you're in combat, gather all the facts as fast as you can. If you have 80% of the facts, man, you're doing great. If you have an 80% of the facts support your decision, and go with the decision. Don't sit there and contemplate. Make the decision and move on. But that's not necessarily true in business. You might have a lot more time in business. And then what you do is you study, but then make a decision. You got to make a decision. If you don't make a decision, nothing ever happens until you decide. They used to say, Nothing happens until the salesman sells the job. Yeah, that's true. But someone has to decide to hire the salesman. Someone has to decide to train the salesman. There's a lot of decisions along the way. And in my opinion, nothing ever happens in business until the CEO or the president or the head person in that organization makes a decision. So you can't have a lot of analysis where you constantly think about, well, on one hand, we can do this. We used to joke in the Marine Corps. We always knew the Marine Corps officers who were lawyers. And the way that we knew was they always had multiple hands. And you would talk to them about a legal issue, and they would say, well, on one hand, the issue is this way, and then on the other hand, it was this way. And what's strange, you always knew the aviators because they would talk about flying this way or flying that way. So the difference between a lawyer and an aviator is the lawyer had a lot of hands. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about some things. You're never going to get 100%, positive, every single detail. Let's go with it. But get as close as you can to where you feel, at least you have 80% of the decision made, and make a decision. Just don't sit on it forever. Make the decision. And something. Sometimes you look at it and you say, well, what happens if I make a wrong decision? What will actually happen? Well, sometimes not a lot. It's not worth waiting. And I'm not saying with people's lives like in combat. I'm not talking about that at all. What I'm talking about is, like my friend, he said, you bought a house? There's going to be a recession in a year. And you know something? He was absolutely right. There was a recession in the year. And that building I bought lost 30% of its value that year. But you know what happened? 5 years later, it came back. I got that 30% back. Not only got the 30% back, now it's worth 150% more than what I paid for it 20 years ago. Excuse me. But the fact was I wasn't going to sell it in the middle of a recession. I had no desire to sell it. I needed that building for my business. And I knew that eventually I was going to rent it out to another person, another business, which I did in the second of every month or the first of every month. When I check my account, there it is, the deposit. And I could be anywhere in the world. I love that, man. I can be in Hawaii. I can be in Florida. I could be anywhere. Today I'm in Texas. But to make a long story short, I could be anywhere. And it gained back its value and everything else. So sometimes even decisions that aren't that great, they can correct themselves. And I've seen that in real estate. After a time, it will correct itself. You don't want to make bad decisions, obviously. No one wants to make that. But even a not so great a decision is still better than no decision at all. Make a decision here, And the decision you should make right now is giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to this. Also, make comments. Send me some comments. Anyway, the question is, if you have time to do your homework, but there's a limit to that. You just have to set a limit. You have to make a decision. Make a decision. Go at it 100%. Don't go after shiny objects. A lot of people constantly go after shiny. They have goals, and they're working on their goals, and they're going in this direction with their goals, and then there's a shiny object over here, and they get distracted, and they waste time. If you got a good goal, and you know the direction you're going in, and you're making decisions in a timely manner, stick with your goals. So don't get caught up in shiny objects. Does it fit your goals? Sometimes you're going down the road like this and you got a target of opportunity. You have something that you can possibly do in addition to your goals that will eventually get you to your goals. Well, you don't ignore it and say, well, it's not time for that target of opportunity. You take time to do the analysis. When you get to the point where you feel you got an 80% answer, then take action on it. And you look at the pros and cons before you make that decision, but you do your research, do your diligence. Don't be an idiot. Make sure you do your research. You just don't wake up in the morning and say, well, I'm just going to buy this other business down the street because I think it's a great idea. No, do your homework. Get all the facts you possibly can, but don't take forever to do it. Have a cutoff point. I'm going to make the decision. Once I get these facts from somebody or some organization or something, I'm going to look at them, then I'm going to make the decision to move on. And, life is short, man. Life is short. Keep on thinking about it. Like my friend, he kept on thinking about it. Keep on thinking about it. He's probably lost $1 million that he could have in his pocket today, or rent that could be coming into him each month. What is the cost? I always do a cost and benefit analysis. If I make this decision, what is the cost? Sometimes I'm willing to take a risk, and decisions are risks. So I'm willing to take that risk if I can see benefit down the road when I'm following my goals. And so I don't go to the left or to the right of my goals. I stick straight on, and I do what needs to be done. I heard they say it's a Chinese proverb, but I've heard it spoken before, and it says, chase 2 rabbits and you catch none. So not only are we talking about an action bias, but we're also talking about goals. have goals, clear-cut goals. Make a decision on what your goals are going to be, and then stick to them, and get the thing done. But take action. You know, even if you make a wrong decision, then you will know it's a wrong decision, and maybe you could backpedal and make a better decision. You know, a friend of mine I always talk to him, and I say, hey, you know, that's really wise, your advice in this area. And he'd say, yeah, that's called scar tissue. And I would say, well, what do you mean by scar tissue? He says, well, I've learned my lesson by making the wrong decision. So take action. And if you find out it's a wrong decision, then make a better decision and move on to do something else. Complete your commitments to that decision, move on and go do something else. But at least you found out. At least it's not sitting around doing analysis or paralysis by analysis. At least you're moving in a certain direction. Now, I need that thumbs up, man. We're getting close to the end here. I need that thumbs up. Please do it now. I'm waiting. Also, subscribe. Did you subscribe? You got to subscribe. Make comments. If you don't like what I said, then tell me you don't like. If you think I don't know what I'm talking about, then tell me. That's fine. I'm a big guy. I'm not going to go home and cry over it. But I'd like to hear your opinion on these things. And if you want to add to them or you like what this is said, please, I need the comments. So thumbs up, subscribe, send comments. Talk to you in the next video. Bye.